Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Adrian Broner is back. Kind of excited, kind of disappointed. I was really hoping Adrian Broner would be taking on Blair the Flair Cobb. But it seems like maybe Adrian Broner kind of wised up and knew not to get in the ring with Blair the Flair. There are a lot of people who feel, actually, let me stop saying that. A handful of people felt Adrian Broner would beat Blair the Flair Cobb. Majority felt Blair the Flair would clip Adrian Broner with no problem. I personally think Blair the Flair would destroy Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner has been too inactive. Now, don't get me wrong, Adrian Broner is extremely talented. But, you know, I've done videos, and I think everybody else has talked about this. I mean, there's no need to keep beating this damn dead horse because basically we're going to resuscitate it and bring it back to life, you know. So I'm going to leave the dead horse dead when it comes to why Adrian Broner doesn't throw punches. But one thing we know for sure in this fight, one fighter is going to throw a whole lot of punches, which is Figueroa, that aren't going to land, and the other fighter isn't going to throw any punches. Okay? So, glad to see Broner back in the ring. Not so sure we're going to get an exciting fight. But if both of these fighters, who really aren't true 147 pounders, right? If both of them just show a glimpse of what they were at their best weight class and in their prime, just give us a glimpse, we're going to get fireworks. Okay? We are going to get fireworks. However, don't expect, the kind of fireworks that don't expect dynamite and M80s going off, and probably expect them little poppets, them little things that you drop on the concrete, man. It'd probably be that, or the little dog you light his tail, and you know he releases a turd out there on the concrete, or the damn what's that one my son likes, man? The ladybug, right? You light it and it makes that and shoots up in the air. That's the kind of fireworks you're gonna get. This fight right here is one of those fights where both of them have been inactive. They're coming back now, and it's a fight that they were supposed to make, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, and Figueroa pulled out with an injury. Adrian Broner is one of those kind of fighters, you know, where when you look at Adrian Broner and you look at Figueroa, right? Figueroa had some really, really good wins. And when I say that, I'm talking about when he was coming up, Figueroa just looked like one of those guys who you had to kill him to stop him. I mean, the volume of punches would just overwhelm opponents. And he never looked like a power puncher to me until I really saw him fight Robert Guerrero. And I couldn't believe how Guerrero was just getting hurt by the shots Figueroa was throwing. And I was watching that saying, damn, Figueroa hits that hard? But obviously that's not the case. Guerrero just has seen his better days, you know, in the past. And I think Figueroa just caught him at the right time. So that fight really helped Figueroa's profile. But since that win, Figueroa hasn't looked spectacular, and he's coming off of 2 back-to-back losses. In particular, his most recent fight against Abel, I think it was Ramos. I don't know if you guys have seen that fight, but Figueroa, he was hurt. I honestly thought Figueroa was going to be in critical condition, because to see him at the end of that fight, he just quit and he just started throwing up blood. I mean, throwing up blood, man. And I was like, oh my gosh, this man has some kind of hemorrhaging going on, and an internal organ has been damaged. You know, I didn't know what was going on, but it was very concerning. He walked to his corner and just started throwing up blood. It was crazy. So he took time off, had to rethink his career. And I honestly feel with Figueroa, him coming back, I think they view Adrian Broner as low threat. I think they do. Conversely, I think Adrian Broner views Figueroa as low threat. Because when I say low threat, right, I'm not talking about Figueroa lacking talent. For Adrian Broner, when he's looking for something that's low threat, Adrian Broner's not worried about the opponent's talent level. He'll take somebody with talent equal to him. No problem. No problem. But when it comes to the threat that Broner's concerned about, it's about the threat as far as their punching power. And when it comes to Omar Figueroa for Adrian Broner, this is the perfect match for Adrian Broner to look like the Adrian Broner of old. I'm not sure that's what's going to happen, but I'm leaning more towards Adrian Broner having a highlight reel knockout, highlight reel performance, and and coming back to my AB, the athletic bastard, about business, about billions, anyone can get it. That's what's going to happen when he clips Figueroa. But we just got to keep in mind that Figueroa's coming off of 2 back-to-back losses, and not sure what happened to him, but Broner's a strong fighter, strong puncher. And if Figueroa can't hurt him and Broner starts ripping to the body, I'm sure they paid attention to what happened to Figueroa in his last fight. May be able to damage Figueroa and get him out of there. But, we just have to wait and see. Because, nobody can defeat Father Time. And Broner, who's 34-4-1, 24 KOs, he turns 33 on July 28th. And when it comes to, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. When it comes to stock, excuse me. When it comes to the stock of these two fighters, you can say the stock for Figueroa has plummeted, but I don't think many people care. And that's no disrespect to him. We're just comparing him to Broner. But when it comes to Adrian Broner's stock, his stock has plummeted tremendously. And a lot of people care because he has a huge fan base. Doesn't matter if you want to see him win or lose. Adrian Broner is entertaining. He really is, inside and outside the ring. But the $5-8 million paydays, they're over. Some people feel Adrian Broner just returns to the ring when he needs money. Now, not sure what the fight price is. I saw a couple posts on Twitter saying Adrian Broner is supposed to be making $2 million for this fight. Now, I don't know how true that is, but not sure if he deserves $2 million. Not my call. I do believe that these fighters, I wish they could get as much money as possible. I honestly do, because they're in there putting their lives on the line. Boxing is a rough sport. So if he can still pull $2, $5, $10 million, I think he should get it. Now, has his performances over the last couple of years warranted that kind of payday? I don't know. Some would say yes, some would say no. But his inactivity is a concern, but to me, he's coming back the right fighter, right time. But Adrian Broner has to get active, man. He has to get active. Because he's not going to be able to keep doing this. Coming back once every 2 years, making $2 million, making $1 million, $1.5 million. Like, he just can't keep doing it. Now, I know he made a lot of money over his career. But the whole about billions thing, it's over. Unless he gets some endorsement deals and starts figuring something else out, it's over. Now, I do think Adrian Broner, he may be able to continue boxing after he retires and do exhibitions because people will still watch him. But right now, if he wants to try to go that route, he first needs to get a string of wins. He's got to do something mind-blowing. And when I say mind-blowing, I mean positive, in a positive manner. Because winning, controversial decisions over, Jovanie Santiago in early 21 and controversial decisions over Granados, that's not going to get him where he needs to be. He needs to come out here, man, although his personal life has been troubling, his professional career has been troubling, he needs to come out here and show us that he's taking boxing serious in order for us to take him serious. But it's one of those things where his reputation is just that of someone who finds a way to lose. And he's matched up against Figueroa, who people say that he's someone who's found a way to lose interest in boxing and found a way to become disinterested with the sport he loves because he doesn't like getting his ass kicked. Okay? Now, Figueroa is a bad boy, man. You know, I'm just saying, when you've been boxing since you've been a kid, and boxing through high school, boxing through college like Figueroa, and coming to the professional ranks and, you know, boxing and tough fights, overwhelming your opponent with the volume of punches, and then you bubble up from a lower weight class to 147, and now you see, hold on a second, this 7 pounds is a huge difference. Because now you got guys who are coming out from 180, 185 to 147. You know, some guys maybe coming out from 190. There's some guys who really melt down to 147. And you're in the ring with these guys who are just too strong for you. And when you take beatings like what Figueroa has taken, it takes a lot out of you. It really does. But we'll see what happens because Broner's they're both in the 30s. Figueroa just happens to be 32. And, you know, you got to wonder when your Danish Yugas beats you like that, it takes something out of you. And then to go in there after Yugas and get beyond thrashed by Ramos. Now, I'm going to tell you guys again, if you didn't see that fight, go watch Omar Figueroa against Abel Ramos. It ends in 6 rounds. But I'm not sure if they edited that part out where he's throwing up blood. But look at just watch the 6th round and look at how he was getting beat and look at how he was responding especially when he was getting hit to the body. It wasn't like the wind was knocked out of him. It was like something was wrong inside of him. Just the way he responded. It wasn't like a normal body shot. And that concerned me. But when you get beat like that, and you're coming off of a layoff, I just don't see him beating Broner. I don't. You know, Broner got beat down by Maidana, but Broner hasn't been beat up or beat down. Even when he fought Pacquiao, he didn't get beat down. You know, Broner has an amazing defense. So I think Broner has less miles on him than Figueroa because Broner's taking less damage. But we're going to see here, man, who has preserved their mental health, because the mental health to me is vital going into this fight for both opponents. And if mentally they're not healthy, they're not sound, they don't have mental perseverance, as soon as someone gets hit with a hard shot, they're going to go into a shell. And someone can say, well, that's going to be Broner. Not necessarily when you look at what Figueroa has gone through the last couple of years and his last couple of fights. But nevertheless, they're going to be fighting in Chicago. Maybe, Chicago is a pretty good fight city. Supports fighters. They'll turn out. A lot of people are going to turn out to support Figueroa. A lot of people are going to turn out to support Broner. A lot of people still like Broner, man. He's very entertaining. But it's not New York. It's not L.A. So it is what it is, man. But when it comes to Showtime and Showtime putting on fights, I don't know. You got Benavidez out there fighting Lemieux. Some people thought that was a joke. I didn't. I thought that was a good fight. Benavidez just showed that he's, has layers to his game and he's performing at an optimal level. When you look at other fights that have happened on Showtime, especially like what's coming up with Jamal Charlo and Selecki, I mean, how bad is Omar Figueroa against Adrian Broner? Okay, so for those of you who are saying, this is a BS fight, well, I mean, if we're going to slam these two and slam Showtime for giving us a fight like this, well, we need to slam them for some of these other fights they've given us too, okay? But I think this fight is definitely going to be entertaining. And what's the most intriguing about this is, can you definitively say who's going to win this fight? And see, that's why I'm getting behind it. Because I can't definitively say who's going to win. And that's why I think this makes it a bit more intriguing. There are a lot of people who will just look and see the person who's had the most knockouts and the more popular fighter and just be a bandwagonist and immediately conclude that that's the person who's going to win. To me, that's an antiquated way of thinking. We're beyond that, okay? Let's sit back and really look at this and be fair and do this objectively. Omar Figueroa, like I said, if he's mentally healthy and he comes in there and he decides to throw a volume of punches, although most of that shit doesn't land, and Adrian Broner, for some reason, still clams up and doesn't want to punch, Adrian Broner can lose this fight. But if Adrian Broner realizes Omar Figueroa cannot hurt him, and Adrian Broner is going to be in there, man, in between rounds, getting his hair brushed, dancing, and just acting a fool, and he's going to clip Figueroa. And that's why I talked about in the beginning of this video, the low threat opponent for Adrian Broner. The opponent doesn't have that power to hurt him. And I think for Adrian Broner to get his confidence where it needs to be, he needs to face a Figueroa. He needs to go on to fight another opponent who's credible, but not necessarily a power puncher. He needs to fight guys like that. Because if he gets in there with those killers, Adrian Broner can have problems. Not because I think somebody would severely damage him. I just think once he gets clipped real hard, he just immediately goes back to the McDonald fight. And he's going to climb up and not let his hands go because he doesn't want to get hurt. And I hope he can find a way to get his confidence back, but he's got to fight more than once every couple of years. Like, people the Showtime, Espinoza, even Leonard Elabio, whoever's behind him. It's hard for guys to get behind you when you're inconsistent with being professional. You're inconsistent with being reliable, but you're consistent with the buffoonery. You're consistent with being intoxicated. And I'm not saying he shouldn't enjoy himself, right? Enjoy yourself in moderation if you're going to be a professional. I personally don't drink. I've never smoked. When my first son was born, I was never a big drinker. But when that guy was born, that was it. You know what I mean? Like, I just had no interest because I didn't want to be in a position to where the one is if something happened with my son, I couldn't respond. So I have 4 sons now. Haven't drank since. No interest in it. But on a professional level too, just wasn't worth it, man, to be out there, and especially with what I was doing, and happened to have had 1 beer and now I can't drive, and then get a call, I have to be somewhere, and it's like, damn, I can't drive. So I think my kids and like I said, I would drink probably twice a year, and but just having those guys really helped me clean that part up, that part of my life up, which wasn't in disarray. Like I said, I used to drink twice a year, but it helped me clean that little bit of crap up, and it definitely benefited professionally because I was never at risk of not being able to make it somewhere on time, so I was reliable. But when you look at Adrian Broner, who I think had, I'm going to say a lot more at risk because of the type of money these guys are making, he just kind of threw it all away. Still has a little bit of an opportunity, there's still some opportunity there for Adrian Broner to clean up his act, still make some good money, and go on and perform to the levels and to the expectations that everyone's had of him. Not sure if he can be the next, Floyd Mayweather again. I think that's over. But he can still punctuate his career on a very positive note, and he can still make a lot of money. But if he comes back with the Figueroa fight, even if he wins the fight, and after the fight he just back to the same old BS, it's, I think people are just going to really just sign him off. Some have already. But I'm going to remain optimistic, man, because that's just how I feel when it comes to these younger guys. I think everybody was stupid at one point in time. Maybe not as stupid. Some were more stupid with the decisions they made. But I just think if a person really wants to change, I think we should give them the opportunity. And I hope Adrian Broner can do that. Figueroa, I think he's just taking so much damage, man. He was entertaining. He was a fan favorite. But, it's just like his career is almost ending prematurely. And that's just from the damage he's taking, man. So I'm going to go ahead and I think Broner gets it. I'm going to go ahead and say that. But I'll leave it up. Then again, it just depends what versions of these guys show up on fight night. But I'm going to give Broner the benefit of the doubt to pull this fight off. But then again, when a guy has the kind of opportunity like what Figueroa has in front of him to breathe life back into his career, some guys rise to the occasion. But that's to be seen. But anyway, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to all the veterans. Adrian Broner, the cam man, is back. But will he let his hands go? We'll see. And Omar Figueroa, is he finally going to land some punches with the thousands that he throws? I mean, we'll find out in July. As always, y'all keep safe. I'm in the break.